right, I think most everyone has rejoined us here. Again, we apologize for the technical difficulties. We're just going to go straight to questions. Please use the blue raised hand feature and we'll get started. Maria.
Coach, a little bit of you had to stop there, pause everything, and now you're back. You talked about being flexible. Just how did the team use that time that they had to be down?
Well, we tried to stay active with as many players as we could. We follow the medical guidance of our athletic trainers and the SEC, and so we were able to do some quarantine workouts with several players, and we were able to we had a few players that we were still able to work with on the court in smaller groups. So we stayed busy. We were active every day except for yesterday. Yesterday was our day off for this week, and we stayed active. We were on the court. They were with our strength and conditioning coach. We watched film as a team. We watched film individually. So we had individual meetings. We got a lot accomplished, just not a full go practice.
Rick.
Kelly, what was it like for you guys, though, as a staff, as you went through this last week? And I would imagine you got to watch some basketball games along the way.
Actually, the thing that I did that I never get to do is watch games live. I just got to see almost every team in the SEC play, and that was fun. It was probably really good for me to see those live. A lot of times when you're focused in on your opponents, you're just watching that opponent, and then you move to the next opponent. So I actually enjoyed it. Saw some really good basketball games in the last segment.
Jordan.
Hey, Kelly, do you have your full squad available now? And also kind of how are you going to use the next 2 days with practice, getting everyone back to the court before going to a game with a week off?
Yeah, we have most everybody. We don't have everybody back yet, but going into these next 2 practices, I think it's going to be really important that we get up and down a lot, try to get back in the swing of things, 5-on-5. When you're out a week of playing, your timing could be off. I just want to make sure, we feel good in those things, both offensively, defensively, make sure we're locked in. So we'll, given the Christmas break, and then you have a game and then you have another big break. I mean, we haven't played a lot, and that's going to be what we try to do in the next 2 days.
Do you anticipate having several players out for Thursday's game?
I don't at this point, but we'll know more on Thursday.
Will?
There's a pretty quick turnaround between, that game Monday night and then the announcement Tuesday morning that activities were paused. What did the time kind of look like between those, and what were those 24 hours like for you guys?
Well, I think for us, we had taken our routine or our surveillance screening COVID test on Monday. And when we take a test the next morning, I can tell you, I have my phone sitting right by me, and I'm waiting for the little ding from our athletic trainer to tell us whether we're all clear. And unfortunately that morning we were not all clear. And so we had to take that day off, and then we were able to resume some activity on Wednesday.
Maria.
Coach, the first net rankings came out, of course, Monday. Obviously the SEC's all over the top 30. Everybody's getting used to these new rankings. Can you glean anything from the initial rankings as far as how they're doing that?
I think it's interesting. I think it's going to be interesting to follow. And if I've heard correctly, I think they're going to announce those maybe even daily now. And I think that'll be interesting to follow, just to see how it correlates to the eye test, to records, to what we have previously used in the RPI. I mean, kind of a learning curve for us to learn the net. But, in terms of where they are, I would expect the SEC to have a lot of teams in the top of those numbers.
David?
Hey, Coach, you mentioned flexible at the beginning. I just want to know all the ups and downs, not just this shutdown, but the Texas game not going down. How have you seen not just your players, but your staff be flexible this season?
Well, I think my approach in life is always whatever is next, let's handle it. And you're just ready for the next day, and whatever's in your path, you deal with it and you move on. And so we've really tried to take that approach all summer. I think it's really the only approach you can take right now, because you don't know what's going to happen. You can plan and you can prepare, but you just don't know what's going to happen. Our staff has been amazing. They have been very proactive. They have been very creative in their approach. We have a plan, and then we have a backup plan. So I think it's something I'm really proud of our staff for logistically, emotionally, physically, just being there to support one another and our team.
Jordan?
Kelly, you said you watched a lot of live games. How many of those Arkansas games did you watch over that time off? And what have you kind of seen from them watching them play? I know they played Missouri on Sunday.
Yeah, so I was able to see all of their Kentucky game and some of their Missouri game live. And then I've been able to watch some film on them. It's pretty easy. It's in terms of knowing what they do. They're going to push tempo. They're going to shoot threes. They're going to drive, and you're going to foul them, and they're going to shoot free throws. That's their game plan. It's not a secret. Everybody knows it. You just have to go out and guard it. And I think they create some matchup issues for a lot of teams, because they play 4 or 5 guards at a time, and they have great spacing, and they stick with what they do. So their game plan, really, their personnel fits that game plan. So they're obviously really good when they can do those things.
Maria?
Coach, given those matchup issues, and I know you guys, the 4 spot has become sort of a what are you going to do with it? Jaden's been out, of course, you've lost Kean. Do you look at a 4-guard lineup at times, or is everything sort of on the table right now, particularly against the Razorbacks?
Well, both, but we've played 4 guards. Since we lost Kean and Jaden, we have played 4 guards. So I don't think that's anything unusual for us to do. I'll be honest with you, when Marta's out there at the 4, it's like we're having 4 guards out there at times. So, I think we've got some different things that we can look at and try to take advantage of.
Are there any other questions for Coach Harper? Maria, a follow-up?
Kelly, as usual, I was kind of talking about the starting lineup, which I know, I bug you with every time in terms of 4-guard. And just to follow, I know you're not looking at LSU yet, but if we can go ahead and ask you about that too.
Yep.
Obviously, your last trip to Baton Rouge was not a pleasant one. And I imagine the flight home was not a pleasant one. LSU's doing what they always do. They look shaky in the preseason and non-conference, and then they start to look much better in SEC play. If you can just sort of address LSU and any challenges of going on the road for the first time too in the SEC.
Well, I think very similar to Arkansas, LSU is very specific on what they do. It's not a surprise. They want to play a slower game. They're going to take their time offensively. You're not going to have to guard a ton of actions, but the actions that you're going to have to guard, they're good at. They've got a terrific point guard. They've got terrific post play and guards on the wings that just played their role. They knock down shots when they need to. They defend. Their games. I think teams do not look forward to playing LSU. I think they're going to take the air out of the ball. You don't get to run. They're going to be physical and tough defensively, and a lot of teams don't like that. So if you think you're going to go to LSU and win, you got to be okay with that. You got to be tough-minded and be okay with playing physical. And when you're in a half-court set, you've got to get down and guard. I think that's really important.
Maria?
As far as those 2 postponed games, obviously at Texas A&M and then hosting Kentucky, are you looking to be able to get those back in? I realize you go to Kentucky later, but is there a chance that those 2 games could still be played this season?
I think anything's on the table at this point. We're just following the SEC and the guidelines and their guidance, I guess I should say. I think as we proceed and you know, as things become a little bit clearer, if that's even a possibility this season, you know, whether we're looking at just a handful of cancellations or a lot of cancellations or postponements, I think we'll have to see what that looks like. You know, I hope we're able to get all of our games in, but I don't know that there's any guarantees at this point. So we're just sitting back waiting for the SEC to give us a little bit more direction.
All right. Any final questions for Coach? Maria, final question.
One last one, of course. You got a young team still, particularly with your starting lineup, and this is SEC play, which is nothing like these kids have experienced yet. Will this be good for them? This a challenge with Arkansas, and then right on the road to just let them know this is the toughest conference in the country, and here it comes.
Well, you know, I don't know if you were able to draw it up how you would. You know, if I got to choose who we played where and when, I don't know. I'm glad they give it to me because the SEC is tough. You can't overlook anyone any night. So I hope that we have prepared our players as best as we can at this point, you know, with what we do in practice, how we played in games and film sessions, individual sessions, so that they're as prepared as they can be. You know, they're excited. I think they're excited, and I think our returners understand just how tough it is each and every night, and I think they really passing those sentiments down to our younger players and our newcomers.
Okay, thank you, Coach, and thank you, everyone, for bearing with us through our technical difficulties today.
Thank you, guys. See you
Thanks,
Thursday.
Kelly.